Good morning. Now, these are some questions that my student asked me, so let's get to them. Now, Julia conducted an experiment to find out whether oxygen is needed for the germination of seeds. Now, let's do a recap. We know that for germination, it requires things like water, oxygen, and warmth, right? And let's do a recap in terms of conducting experiments. If you want to find out about something, oxygen is needed. So this must be the variable that is changed. In other words, there must be a container or something where you do the experiment where there is the presence of oxygen, and there must be another one where there is no oxygen. Alright? And then you put seeds inside and you see whether they'll grow. Because if oxygen is not needed, then the seeds in this container with no oxygen will also grow. Of course, the other variables such as the presence of water and warmth must be there in both and the same quantities. So which of the following are most suitable for conducting a fair test? Let's see. So here, okay, let's check all of them. Damp, cotton, wool. Damp tells us there's water, right? Moisture present. So all of these have the presence of water. So water, no problem. Let's check for warmth. They mention about temperature. No mention about temperature. So I'm going to assume temperature is also present. Now let's go and check. Let's check oxygen now. Airtight is water, so there is some oxygen inside. Airtight absorbs oxygen, so here there is no oxygen. Airtight absorbs oxygen, so here there is no oxygen. Here airtight absorbs carbon dioxide. But we don't care about carbon dioxide, right? We just want oxygen. So this one, I put question mark. Why is it here? So right now, let's see. I will need a container that has oxygen versus one with no oxygen. So there are two here. So let's see what other variables are there that also should not be different. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seeds here. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seeds. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seeds. Yeah, I see you've done the counting as well. Very good. So here I would say that I will be using A, the one with 6 seeds, and in the presence of some oxygen and water, compared to the other one, which is C, with 6 seeds also, but with water present but no oxygen, because this substance, whatever that is absorbing the oxygen. So answer is A and C. I agree with you. Answer should be 2. Okay. Now, next one. Alright, study the diagram below. As a reminder to students when they send me pictures, this is a good quality one, very clear. Also try to make sure you take the pictures without any shadows, so it doesn't appear to be dark, so it's easier for us to look at it. Alright. Now, so this must be a question about photosynthesis, right? Because you have black paper that covers the leaf. Oftentimes, this kind of setup is like that to test you the concept of photosynthesis. Black paper is usually taken as opaque, which means light cannot pass through it. So any parts covered with the black paper means that there will be no light that will reach there. So therefore, there is no photosynthesis happening. If there's no photosynthesis happening, what's next? Then therefore, there will be no food being produced. If there's no food being produced, there will be no excess food stored as starch. And therefore, they test with iodine. Iodine will remain as yellowish brown, or yellow brown, or light brown. Okay, whichever how they describe it. Now, why do I talk about iodine? Because in such experiments, the only way that you learn to verify whether is there photosynthesis or not in such experiment is to assess and compare the amount of starch present under the dark paper compared to those that are not being blocked by the black paper. And since you're going to test the presence of starch, and the only chemical you learned in school is to use iodine to do so. Okay. Now, and in the beginning, they got to remove all the starch first. So usually they will place this leaf in a dark room. So there's no photosynthesis going on for maybe 1 or 2 days. Alright, that's the purpose of saying this. There's no starch present at the beginning of the experiment. Part X contains chlorophyll. X is should be the darkened part contains chlorophyll. So in other words, only the part that has chlorophyll can make food. Part Y does not have chlorophyll. Interesting. So not every part of the leaf has chlorophyll. So I know part Y. Part Y, you will notice where is part which part is in part Y? I'll notice that Q and P are both in part Y. So I don't expect any food to be present there, whether they are under the dark paper or not under the dark paper. So so these two, I probably would not be bothered about these two in terms of looking at the experimental results. Alright, I'm concerned more about R and S if I'm the one doing the experiment. Alright, so these two definitely it will be yellowish brown when the iodine is used to test these two parts. The plant was placed under sunlight for 6 hours, sufficient time for it to start to make food. The parts that receive the light, PQRS were removed from the leaf in the position and tested for starch there. You see what I mean, right? Using iodine solution. Which of the following correctly shows the color change of P, Q, R, and S after iodine? So we know for sure P and Q will have no color change, right? So I know for sure brown, I must see P and Q. So I see P and Q here, I see P and Q here. So it cannot be 4, it cannot be 2, alright? Because they're talking about color change. So here brown means there's no color change, right? This is called after the iodine test. So what will have color change? What else will have no color change? The part that's underneath the black paper. So R also will not have color change. I should see R. Okay, R is here. Answer is 3. Now, that's to double check, alright? Because actually, this is sufficient for us to get the answer. But just to double check, so the part that is S, which is not blocked by the black paper, should be able to make food and perhaps have some extra food left that can be stored as starch. So this part is likely to turn from yellowish brown to dark blue. So S should be under dark blue. Right? That's correct. So yeah, answer is 3. Right now, I will advise that you watch the video I submitted yesterday. Something similar to this kind of question, where I talked about formation of light, a spot of light with a different shape on a screen. So look at the 16th of June video. I think it's inside part 1, towards the end, the very last or second last question. Take a look at it because I think the explanation there can also help you. I'm going to go through this here. So Weishan has 3 sheets of different materials with different shapes cut out in the middle. Only one sheet is made of a material that allows light to pass through it. He conducted an experiment in a dark room using the setup below. So what is the following thing that you see on the screen? So always go back to what's the concept being tested. So we go back to some revision at P4, right? You were in my class in P4, right, this student. So let's recall when we talk about an object. So remember, I'm not going to talk about shapes of the cutouts first. Alright, let's go and talk about this as solid shape. For those in my class and when P4, remember we did shadow and puppet show. Alright, and you have some cutout shapes. So I repeat again, these are now solids, okay, with different shapes. These are not holes. Unlike this part here, all these are holes. Alright, triangular hole, square hole, and circular hole. In my case, I'm going to revise with regards to formation of shadows first. Alright, and how to change the size of the shadows. You always got to do the distance between the light source the object, and the screen. All these three factors are usually in place. Now in this case here, the light source and the screen did not change its position. So we will not change that either. But the distance between the object and the light source changed. This is nearer to the light source. This is further from the light source. This is further from the light source. So imagine right now I'm doing something similar. I'm using, so sorry, let me pick up something. We're using solid objects instead. So I'm going to draw one line here that represents the start of the light source. Draw one line here to represent the screen. So this will be the screen where the shadows will land on. I'm going to use just a highlighter here to represent the light source. Okay, so there are going to be several light sources on this, but they're all at the same distance away between the light source and the screen. Let's call this light source A, B, C, and D. Alright, let's try the circular popsicle first. Let me just place this object maybe here. Okay, let's see what is the size of the shadow that will be formed. So how do I do it? So I'll start off from a point of light at A, from A. What am I doing here? I'm basically drawing, right, light rays that comes out from the light source. Now, these two light rays show you the light that is not blocked by the object. Therefore, it will land on the screen, and this part above, this part below, there isn't any shadow. What is a shadow? A shadow is formed when light is being blocked. So like this object here will block the light that comes out from point A. Multiple light rays will be blocked by this object, circular object. I just want to draw one to show you light cannot pass through this. So you will see a shadow. Alright, I'm just going to color the shadow with green. Of course, there's no green color shadow. It's just to make it more colorful. Alright. So what if I were to now place an object that is further away from the light source? Let me try to place a triangular object here. Okay, let's go back to the first one, circular object. So what will be the shape of this shadow? It will be circular, right? If you turn the screen around and see it, you will see a circular shadow. But what about a triangular object that I place here, or a square object that I place here? Will you see any triangular shaped shadow or square shaped shadow? You will not, because there's no light that shines on these two. I'm assuming this whole thing is done in the dark room. Light is above the circular object, below, but it doesn't shine through this. So these two are in the shadow of this in any case. So what you will see here will just still be one big circular shadow. That's it. So if I want to get a square shadow, what do I do? Alright, so stay tuned and see. So this is a case of shadow formation. So if I want to form a shadow of this shape, alright, compared to if I see a circular shape here, therefore it has to be the very first one, a circular cutout. When I look at the answer here, I see patterns like this. Well, how do we form patterns like this? Well, that's possible if, for example, I'm talking about just shadows, not light right now, shadow. Let's say I have a circular object here. Again, circular object. Let me just quickly draw this. Right, I need to block some of the light that passes above and below this, right? I need to block some of the light that passes above and below. Because the light that passes right in the center here will block. So I will see a circular shadow here. So how do I form a shadow with different shapes? Well, if I can block part of this, for example, if my square shape is somewhere in front, very near to the circular shape, such that if I were to place them now in front of you like this, one on top of the other, you will see like that. Okay, part of the circular part is above, and we can check it out one more time. Imagine now if I were to superimpose, or I use a simpler word, I lay the square over the circle, alright, or I place the circle over the square, such as it's like this. The corner parts here will also block light, right? And therefore the corner parts here will give you sharper shadows like this on the screen. Whereas this part, the curved part, will give you a curved shadow like this. Right, the curved parts here. The shadow will be like this. Interesting shape, right? This is when the objects are placed very closely together, and that's when you get things such as this. Alright, but this is, again, don't be confused. These are all spots of light. I'm talking about shadows and how you form shadows. Okay, now let's go to let's move away from shadows right now. Let's go to the formation of the light. Now, instead of an object that is circular in shape, I put a hole that is circular in shape. Okay, and now I blocked it with, I blocked the parts above and below with some material. So what will happen now? So let me just draw this one more time so you see. Light, of course, will still pass through above, below. As you can see, right, the light that passes through here, anything, now the light that passes through the center will go right through it. It's different from before, isn't it? So right now, the part, so previously, the part above is bright. Remember, pink color is the light source, right? So now all the light that passes above here will be here. Light passes below will be here. This one was bright. The green part was the part that represents a shadow. Now in this case here, the light that passes through will actually be, see, all the parts inside here. Okay, that's why you actually see a circular shadow. How about the light that passes above, below, or around this circular spot? Naturally, you can see that those will be blocked by the material. See, those light that hit this spot here will not be able to pass through the material. Assuming this material is an opaque material or translucent material, you block some light. So this part you will see shadow instead, above and below. Okay. Now, what happens if I put another object here? Okay, now let's see. I'm going to draw the same object here now. Circular one. I'm going to draw maybe a square one here, okay? What will be the shape that is of the light that's being cast here? Alright, so let's draw this out for you to see. Light that passes above, of course, will be blocked. So you cast shadows. We are concerned about the light that passes through the center portion. Alright. Passes through the hole. This I drew several light rays. I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 light rays. Okay, and the arrows represent the direction of the light ray from the light source to the object. So in this first case here, light ray number 1 and number 5 are being blocked by this object, so they cannot pass through. So light that passes through will be this pink color part, 2, 3, and 4. Light rays 2, 3, and 4, we will get a pass through ray. Let's pass through. And of course, the light ray that passes through will be in a circular shape, right? This will pass through. Now let's go to the second barrier, which is the square. Now what happened to, this is light ray number 2, number 3, number 4. What happens to light ray number 4? It's now blocked by this. Number 2 may pass through, I think. Number 3 here can pass through. Number 2 can pass through as well. You see, if I were to draw a circle, now the light ray here is a cone of light, right? A cone of a circular shape of light. Just like this, if this is just this shape alone without the square, you will see a circular spot of light on the screen. Just like that. Now imagine this is now the shape of the light that shines on this. So what will be the shape of the light that goes through this? All this part above will be blocked, right, by this object. Only the square part here will go through. Therefore, you will actually get a square shape light that passes through. Get it? You get a square shaped light that passes through. So what you get here will be a square shape. Or rectangular, sorry, it looks more like rectangular and square shape. If you tilt it around for you to see the light, it will be like that, alright? If I tilt the screen for you to see. So if I want a triangular shaped one, where should I put a triangular hole? If I want a triangular shaped light, do I put it in front, middle, or behind? You're right, I put it behind. Because right now the light that passes through this second one will be all rectangular shape, right? So right now I just need to put a piece here that is triangular in shape. Then I get the square shape light, spotlight that shines on this. And this part here, all around this shape will be blocked. Only the triangular spot of light will shine through this and form a triangular shaped spot of light. So far I hope you understand this, as in how you form the different color spots of light. So if in short, alright, if you want to just memorize this because it's simple for yourself, you understand this now. To get a triangular spot of light, I place the triangular cutout at the end. But if I want the shape to be the shape of a shadow, not light, I put the object in front because that will cast the largest possible shadow. All those inside here will just be in the shadow. So I want the shape to be the shape of the whatever shape I want. I put the object in front as near the light source as possible. If I want the shape here to be the light, I put it at the end. Right, the color at the end. Now let's try to understand the rest of the question. So once at the end right now, it's a square. Alright, so I will expect to see a square here. But I don't see a square here, right? There are no square here. Okay, so based on our understanding here, I should see a square. So definitely there must be something wrong, there is something with the materials that allows some more light to pass through, such that it can also have other parts of the light. When we just want to talk about this, okay, let's see what could that be. So let's see other condition. One sheet is made of a material that allows light to pass through. Only one sheet. So the other two will block the light. So which will be the two that block the light, and which will be the one that allow light to pass through? So let's break this down in this way, right? Now, because now we have two more clues we're going to use. One clue would be only one sheet is made of a material that allows light to pass through. And the other clue would be the holes are all of the same height and width. Right? Notice here, 3 cm. This is a circle, right? So this part is also 3 cm. The radius, height and the breadth will be 3. Height and the base is 3. Length and the breadth is also 3 cm. So if they are the same height, so imagine the one about the shadows, right? Whether they are the same height or not doesn't mean that they will form the shadow of the same height. If the object is nearer to the light source, you will form a larger shadow. Similarly, if the object is nearer to the light source, in this case, the hole is nearer to the light source, the light spot, the shape of this light spot will be larger. Okay, so that's the thing you must bear in mind. So let's see. Run through the scenarios. So there are several possible scenarios. First one, maybe okay, L is the circular one, M is the square, is a triangular hole, and P is the square hole. So if they are all opaque, we will get this. Right? We just went through that lesson, but there isn't such an option in the answer. Okay, so this is out. Now let's say I assume L and M are the opaque one that does not allow light to pass through. P is the transparent one. I think I'll get this. Alright, which will give me the answer 3. Now, let me try to demonstrate to you how that is possible. Transparent in our case will mean most light pass through. So if I assume that it's going to be this case, P is transparent. So it is as if P is not there. So let me remove away P. P is not there, right? So it actually looks just like this. Remember, this is the one that is nearer to the light source. So a larger circular light source will form on this. So the light that passes through this part here will all be blocked. Only this one can pass through. Light that is triangular in shape can pass through and shine on this. Okay? Now, can it be this, number 4? Because I also see like triangular and circle. So, could it be 4 or 3? Now, we're going to rule out 4 and say 4 is wrong. How do we rule out 4? Well, we look at the height. Here, we see that the height of this circular spot is this. Alright? Let me use my pink color magnetic strip as a ruler to show you clearly here. Whereas the height of the triangular one, light source, so triangular, I use another sheet, so sorry, I didn't do it very neatly. The one for triangle is here. Okay, triangle. The one for this circle is this. I'm not sure if you can see that the circular light spot, right, is slightly shorter, right, in size than the triangular light source. But based on our understanding, that shouldn't be the case. This is the circular light source is nearer to the circular hole, is nearer to the light source, which means that I should expect to see a larger circular spot of light compared to the triangular spot of light. You see, if you put a triangular spot here, it will be a much smaller spot. So that's how I can rule out number 4 as not the answer. Okay. Can it? And let's take a look at other possible scenarios. We talk about all are opaque, not possible. If P is transparent, I think I will get this, but I don't think we'll get 4. Those I ruled out 4 already. So I'm left with 1, 2, and 1 and 2. So let's see. If now I assume that this is the light that can, if this is opaque, so I won't get this. If P is opaque, I won't get this. This is triangular, right? I should get a triangular spot. Sorry, let's see, P and Q here. So in this case, let me just draw that for you to see. If now N is the one that is transparent, so I will remove away N. Remove away M, so no more M. Oh, I see. I will see the light will pass through this. Alright. I should see a big circular spot of light that shines on the P. So here I should expect to see a square-shaped light source. Now there is no square, right? So I don't think it's possible. But then how about this one? This is a mix of a circle and a square. So to rule this out, we use the height of this light spots again. So how do you use the height? Well, let's draw it out. Just for you to see. This will be the diameter of the circle. How about the square? It's about the same, right? So they can't be the same in size. Alright, I should expect to see a much larger circular light spot that shines on this hole. This part all will be blocked, will block out the light, so only allowing a square spot of light to pass through. Alright, only allow a square spot of light to pass through. All the rest here will just be shadow. Okay, so 2 is out. We said 4 is out. Now, can it be 1? Cannot be, because I will never get this so long as one of the shapes behind this, one of the objects behind this is opaque. It will block off parts of the circular light and give me only the cut out shape light. So this is out. So 3 is the answer. So that's a very long explanation, but I hope that really helps you to understand this. Let's now go to the next question. You have 2 more questions for me, right? The diagram shows a plant P growing on a tree. Its roots grip the surface of the trunk but did not reach do not reach the ground. This is probably some kind of adaptation question, because usually you find roots in the ground. So right now I'm thinking, if it doesn't reach the ground, then how is it going to get water? Or now, okay, tiny dust-like substance. Sounds like pollens. From P, land on other tree trunks. No, it's not pollens, because when this tiny dust-like substance land on other tree trunks, they grow into new plants. So are these like spores? I'm not quite sure yet, because I do see flowers. So if there's a flower, it's a flowering plant, it reproduced by seeds. Okay, so what are these tiny dust-like substances? So not sure, quite sure yet, but it seems like this could be tiny seeds. Could be. And I'm not sure which part it comes from P. So which part of the statement about P is correct? Wind is used for dispersal of spores. So if these are spores, then it's true. But if this is a flower, as you know, flowering plants are produced by seeds, not by spores. And spores are found in non-flowering plants as well as in fungi. This is clearly not a fungi, right? So I don't think 1 is the answer. Pea grows on a tree trunk so it can avoid insect. Now, is there any mention of insects or any parasite or any animals that eat this? I don't see any reference to insects eating this plant, therefore it got to hide and run high up. So this is unfair extrapolation. Now, there's no evidence given in the question for you to infer this. This cannot be the answer. Roots can absorb water droplets formed from condensation. Well, we were talking about where the roots get the water from. Alright, So, well, this may be possible. I'm not sure, I put a question mark, but I will not rule it out. Fertilization takes place after the dust-like substances are dispersed. Now, to learn, there's the process of plant reproduction, right? Flowering plants. First, you have your seed dispersal, followed by germination. After it germinates, you have your adult plant, right? And the adult plant with flowers then will start to pollinate. After pollination, then you have your fertilization. After fertilization, you have your the ovary will swell, the ovule becomes seeds, and then you have seed dispersal. Cycle repeats itself. See, these are dispersed. So I'm going to suggest these could be seeds. After dispersal, it's not fertilization. After dispersal, it is germination. So this is also wrong. So by process of elimination, I think 3 is the best possible answer. This is definitely a PSLE question. You are doing PSLE booklet already. Lucas removed, is this also yours? I think so. Okay. Hold on a moment. Now, Lucas removed all the plants in the garden. He planted 2 rows of sunflower plants only. After 3 weeks, he noticed there were ferns growing near the sunflower plants as shown in the diagram below. So, there were at first botak, no plants at all. Then he planted 2 rows of sunflower. So, sunflower, 1 row, sunflower, another row. So, sunflower, sunflower, only. Alright, there's nothing in between. But after a while, he noticed there were ferns growing near the sunflower. So how did the ferns start to grow? Now, ferns, you know, is a non-flowering plant produced by spores. Spores are light and powdery light, can be carried in the wind. Therefore, you talk about the I suppose you're writing spores. The spores from another adult fern plant are dispersed by wind. Landed in the garden and grew there. Okay, spores from plants are typically dispersed by wind. Right? So the answer is acceptable, but remove the animal. Don't put down /animal. You are leaving to the teacher to decide which one is the answer. That's usually a poor decision. Don't do that. Because if that's the case, you will assume the wrong one and then mark you wrong. Alright, to be fair to the students who know, okay? Why is it important for Lucas to remove the ferns? Well, the ferns will also have roots, right? And that will compete for water, compete for minerals, alright, from the soil with the other sunflower plants. So it actually to reduce competition for water. And also if it was 1 mark, I think that's sufficient. With 2 marks, I will talk about, no, I won't talk about it further because the fern is not taller than the sunflower plant. So that it shouldn't be taller than block light and therefore cause these 2 plants not to have light. So there's no competition for light here, but there's definitely competition for water, for minerals. Alright, I hope that helps you. Take care. If you still have questions regarding the explanation, you come and see me this afternoon, alright, during the Zoom session. Goodbye.